for a Next News special report.
Folks, brace yourselves. The Supreme Court just dropped another bombshell that could change everything you thought you knew about free speech online. But while Washington plays hot potato with your digital rights, Texas is stepping up to the plate in a way you will not believe. We've got exclusive footage, insider testimony, and a finale that will leave you speechless. Trust me, you don't want to miss a second of this special report. Your online freedom might just depend on it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just as the Supreme Court seems to be ducking its responsibility, we're facing our own constitutional crisis here at the Next News Network. For over a year, we've been battling against big tech censorship, much like the laws in Texas and Florida. Our channel, once a beacon of truth, is now demonetized and dismissed by YouTube. But we refuse to be silenced, and we need your support now more than ever to continue this fight for digital freedom. Your donation today isn't just about keeping us on the air. It's about preserving the very foundation of free speech in America. Tap the links below to stand with us against this censorship. Now, the Supreme Court has just made a move that's sending shockwaves through the digital world. In a unanimous decision, they have punted on the ruling about content moderation laws in Florida and Texas. Now, these laws were designed to protect conservative speech on social media platforms. Let's take a look at what Fox News has to say about this as the news was breaking.
Fox News alert here. The Supreme Court issues a ruling on whether social media platforms' handling of user content is protected by the First Amendment. So this is one of the big cases we've been waiting for. Shannon Bream is there. She's our chief legal correspondent outside of the court on a pretty day, 71 degrees there in Washington, D.C. as we speak. And what is the court deciding on this?
So, Dana, this is interesting. It's unanimous. There are a lot of different concurrences, but essentially they're all speaking together, saying that they're sending these cases back down to the lower courts. We've seen this a lot in recent days with the court, where you don't get to something on the merits. It does go back for further attention at the lower court with direction from the Supreme Court. And essentially what they're saying is that Net Choice, the company in these cases where there were laws out of Florida and out of Texas that were telling social media companies that you either can't censor, or if you're going to modify someone's post, you have to contact that poster and tell them why. Essentially what they've said here is the way that Net Choice challenged this law was done sort of prematurely, meaning we're going to send it back. There's got to be a full finding of exactly how both of these laws would play out, and then they can actually get to the case on the merits. So it feels like another decision in which we're not getting the answer, but we know that this case then continues for another day. These Florida and Texas laws, at this point, the court is saying, the way the case has come to us, we're not going to decide. You got to send it back, and there's a whole nother analysis that will have to go on. So no dissenters on this one. We'll keep looking through it, but even the justices, as they read from their opinions on the bench inside the courtroom today, are saying, we know this isn't the one you're here for, but we got to get through these as we wait for immunity, which could be minutes away.
Thank you, Shannon.
And of course, we know how that turned out. So you heard that right, folks. The highest court in the land has decided to kick the can down the road. But let's break down what this really means. The laws in question were crafted by Republican lawmakers in Texas and Florida. They were aimed to prevent social media platforms from censoring conservative viewpoints. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law in 2021 that prohibited social media companies from banning political candidates. It also protected content from journalistic enterprises. That's any outlet with at least 100,000 monthly users or 50,000 subscribers. So we would apply. Now, Texas took a similar approach. Their law banned social media platforms from removing content based on a user's viewpoint. It even gave individuals the right to sue these platforms if they felt they'd been unfairly censored. Now, both states claimed they were protecting free speech, but the tech companies fought back. They argued that these laws violated their own First Amendment rights to decide what content appears on their platforms. Now, the Supreme Court had a chance to settle this debate once and for all. Instead, they have sent these cases back to the lower courts. They say the lower courts didn't properly analyze the First Amendment challenges to these laws. So what does it mean for you? For now, social media companies can keep moderating content they see fit. But this fight is far from over. The door is still wide open for more legal challenges to content moderation laws. So while Washington plays hot potato with your digital rights, Texas is gearing up for a showdown. The historic date was Wednesday, May 29, 2024. The Texas Senate Committee on State Affairs dropped a bombshell. They unanimously voted to authorize subpoenas to take on tech firms Facebook and Google. Now, this isn't just some political theater, folks. This is a direct response to explosive testimony. Google whistleblower Zach Voorhees stepped up to the plate, and what he had to say is nothing short of shocking. Take a look at this.
Let's talk about news ranking. News sites that supported Democrats were ranked with the highest quality and trustworthiness. Here's a partial list. Wall Street Journal, 8.53. CBS News, 6.57. CNN, 6.0. Fox News, 5.2. Russia Today, 4.57. The Young Turks, 2.53. Alex Jones Network, negative 1.56. At the bottom of the list is Next News Network at negative 3.35. Let me reiterate, the foreign propaganda outlet Russia Today was scored 7 points higher than the Next News Network, one of the top YouTube news networks in America. Since my disclosure, Next News Network has been permanently demonetized and will soon be bankrupted. These sound more like the actions we'd expect from a Russian propaganda complex. But shockingly, it's the actions of Google.
Now, Voorhees isn't just blowing smoke. He's painting a disturbing picture of how Google allegedly manipulates its search rankings to favor certain political viewpoints. And get this, he claims our very own Next News Network has been unfairly targeted and demonetized. But the rabbit hole goes even deeper. Dr. Robert Epstein, a renowned researcher, has uncovered what appears to be a coordinated effort to influence voter behavior. Check this out.
The research basis for this, because people can debate, the bias being sent to liberals, moderates, and conservatives. But when you see a data point where Google is sending register to vote reminders to one party at 2.5 times greater than the other party, that statistically is way past 1 sigma. And that is obviously a clear point of bias. If you would elaborate. Anybody else can add to this? I'm curious on this. I just want to know what the statistical basis for it is.
Let me just go back a little bit in time, first of all, to 2022, because in 2022, we had several thousand field agents located mainly in just a few swing states. And in Florida, which was one of them, all day long on election day, Democrats were getting go vote reminders on Google's homepage, which is seen 500 million times a day just in the United States. Only 59% of Republicans were getting go vote reminders on that day. That is a blatant and extremely, extremely powerful vote manipulation. So what we're doing now, what we're seeing nationwide is this 2.5 times as many registered to vote reminders going to Democrats than to Republicans. Now think ahead a little bit. That's going to turn into partisan mail-in-your-ballot reminders. And then that's going to turn into partisan go-vote reminders. The net impact of those 3 manipulations is staggering.
No, I agree with, because I just want to understand. So there was a clear bias that you saw on GOTV, okay, which is notices going to one party at a much higher rate than the other in Florida. And again, I'm just trying to get a statistical basis where that sample of 2.5 is. Is it in the states you're monitoring? Is it in Florida? Is it in Texas?
Because we're getting data 24 hours a day now from the computers of a politically balanced group of more than 14,500 registered voters in all 50 states. And that's where we're getting those data from. We're getting a tremendous amount of data from those people 24 hours a day.
And how long has this 2.5 times the rate trend been going for?
That started at roughly beginning of January. It was a trickle at first, and that's gotten larger now. And at some point, it's going to shift over, and we're going to start to see partisan mail-in-your-ballot reminders.
Well, yeah, because you have 3 steps. You have a registration step, and then you have an absentee ballot step, and then you have a go vote step. And you're expecting that shifts to occur, right?
Well, we know this from published data published by Facebook with some of my colleagues at the University of California, San Diego. We know that in 2010, Facebook sent go vote reminders on election day in 2010, the midterm, to 60 million of its users. And they calculated very cleverly that that caused 340,000 more people to vote that day who otherwise would have stayed home on their sofas. So we know exactly what the impact is going to be of these reminders, and so does Google.
And Mr. Chairman, I would just say that if you have a sample group of 14,500 nationwide, that is a substantial group, and a 2.5 times rate is way past one segment. I'll do the math here in a little bit, but it shows very significant and methodical bias, actually.
You heard that right. Democrats are receiving 2.5 times more voting reminders than Republicans. In a close election, that could be the ballgame, folks. Now, Zach Voorhees isn't just sitting on his hands. He's calling for action, and Texas is listening. Here's what he had to say.
What recommendations would you have for this legislature to take action to address the issues you address?
My recommendation is subpoenas would be filed against Google for any documents that have the name blacklist.txt related to Google, YouTube, and their news search corpuses. I would also ask that you subpoena their documents related to rankings of media outlets. I've provided a supplemental showing a slide deck including such a list. That is 4 years old. It's a bit dated. The open question now is, what are the updated rankings of the media outlets that they have? Also, machine learning fairness is so huge. I don't even know how you would even swallow that. But if you could do, ask them, file a subpoena, ask them for documents related to machine learning fairness. And that is going to be such a huge bombshell that it just needs to get into the public disclosure. So it's those three things: machine learning fairness, blacklists, and their media rankings is the start of the entire. What might be a really cheap way to get at this information is to ask what the decision process was for demonetizing Next News Network, right? Like, they're very large, and if you can get that information related to that case, I think that that's going to sort of illuminate what their decision-making processes were for that demonetization. Like, they're still demonetized. They've been demonetized for 6 months, like the top conservative news network on YouTube. And the question is, why did they get demonetized? And if we have the answer to that, we're going to get the answers to a whole bunch of other censorship activities with the company.
Wow. God bless you, Zach. And the Texas Senate didn't waste any time. They've authorized these subpoenas, and the tech giants are in their crosshairs. This is a historic moment in the fight for digital freedom and fair elections. What we're seeing here is a perfect storm. On one side, we have the Supreme Court stepping back from a crucial decision on social media moderation. On the other, we have states like Texas taking matters into their own hands. This isn't just about social media posts or search results. It's about who controls the flow of information in our republic. It's about the integrity of our elections. It's about your right to speak freely in the digital town square. The battle lines are drawn. In one corner, we have tech giants claiming they need the freedom to moderate content as they see fit. In the other, we have states arguing that these platforms have become so powerful they need to be regulated like public utilities. And caught in the middle? Well, that's right, folks. It's you and me. Every American who uses social media, searches for information online, or relies on these platforms to stay informed. As this battle unfolds, one thing is clear: the fight for digital freedom is only just beginning, and Texas is leading the charge. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. Wake up, America. While the Supreme Court dithers, Texas is drawing a line in the sand. This isn't just about tweets or likes. It's about who controls the very fabric of our national discourse. It's about preserving the marketplace of ideas that our republic depends on. The digital frontier is the new battleground for our constitutional rights. As Benjamin Franklin warned, whoever would overthrow the liberty of a nation must begin by subduing the freeness of speech. The time to act is now. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.